There's a reason why the one who hurt you most, the one who smiled while betraying you, is slowly disappearing from your life. But this isn't punishment. And it's not karma in the way most people understand it. This is divine justice. And Capricorn, you were never meant to carry their shadow forever. Tell me honestly, how long have you been holding back the tears no one sees? How many times have you stood in a room full of people, smiling politely, while your spirit was collapsing in silence? They thought you'd never speak. They assumed you'd break slowly, quietly, invisibly. But what they never understood was that Capricorn doesn't break. You evolve. You endure. And then you rise. This video isn't just a message. It's a mirror to everything you've survived. It's a spiritual confirmation that what you feel shifting is real. Their grip on your life is being broken not by your hand, but by something greater. The one who caused you pain is not just fading away by accident. They are being removed. Removed by a force that sees everything. Removed by an order that does not sleep. Removed not because you demanded justice, but because you no longer need to carry what was never yours. Capricorn, listen carefully. This is the moment the universe chooses you. Not to seek revenge, but to walk away. To heal. To reclaim your future without carrying their shame. And when you see the full picture, when you understand why their vanishing is actually your liberation, you will no longer ask why they hurt you. You will whisper, "Thank you for leaving." So stay until the very end, because what you are about to hear will close the chapter they wrote in your life and open a door to the freedom they could never give you. Capricorn, say it now, in your heart, or write it below. I release the pain. That's not just a sentence. It's the moment your new life begins. Let's begin. Part 1. The pain no one saw, but the universe never missed. Capricorn, before justice unfolds, the universe wants to honor something sacred. The pain you carried without a witness. You wore your silence like armor. Not because you were numb, but because no one would have believed the weight you were truly holding. You smiled in meetings. You laughed at dinners. But every breath you took was heavy. Every step forward, a quiet rebellion against the storm inside. The betrayal wasn't just an event. It was a break in trust. A soul-deep fracture by someone who knew exactly where to cut. And did it anyway. They took your kindness for permission. Your patience for weakness. Your silence for surrender. But oh, how wrong they were. Because Capricorn, your silence wasn't empty. It was sacred space. It was the gathering of cosmic energy. It was the quiet before divine justice moved. And now, it is moving. The person who caused your pain, the one who walked away untouched. They are not invisible to the divine. The universe recorded every sleepless night you survived. Every tear you wiped in solitude. Every lie they told while you chose peace. And now, the shifting has begun. You might not see it yet, but somewhere in their world, the ground is crumbling. Not by your hand, not through revenge, but by a force far more powerful than any confrontation. Truth. Capricorn, the ache you've known is being replaced. Not by justice wrapped in fire, but by a peace born from knowing. You did not break. You simply endured. And that is power. Life lesson, your quiet endurance was divine preparation. The lesson here is not just about betrayal. It's about how you handled it. You didn't scream. You didn't seek to destroy. You stood still and let the universe witness the truth in your silence. In doing so, you aligned with something higher than justice. You aligned with divine timing. And now, that timing is here. So never regret not fighting back. Because the universe fights best for those who refused to become what hurt them. You kept your soul clean. Now watch what happens when divine order restores your peace. Part 2. The mask was never real and it's finally slipping. Capricorn, let's speak honestly. You always sensed it. Even when they were smiling. Even when they said all the right things. Even when the world seemed to admire them. There was something off. A flicker in their eyes. A coldness in their laugh. A strange stillness in the way they responded to your joy. as if they were studying you, not celebrating you. That's because the person who hurt you was never being their true self. From the beginning, they wore a mask, a carefully constructed performance, one designed to win trust, affection, access. They didn't show you who they were. They showed you who you wanted them to be. And for a while, it worked. They were charming, convincing, even inspiring. But masks, no matter how well crafted, always crack under time and truth. And now, Capricorn, the cracks are showing. Have you noticed? People who once believed in them are stepping away. Inconsistencies in their story are surfacing. The confidence they once wore is shrinking behind closed doors. They're forgetting what lies they told to whom. Their energy is becoming unstable. The very foundation they built on manipulation, distortion, and image is collapsing from within. And here's the secret most people don't understand. Their fall is quiet. It's not a public scandal, not a grand spectacle. No one may see it but them. But when they sit in silence, when the noise stops, when no one is watching, they feel it. The emptiness, the shame, the cracks in the mirror they used to admire. They tried to control how people saw them. But now, they can't even control how they see themselves. This is not your revenge, Capricorn. This is not your battle to fight. This is divine unraveling. Their illusion is collapsing. Not because you exposed them, but because the universe is revealing the truth you always knew. Life lesson: what's built on lies cannot outlive truth. Capricorn, the world often praises appearances. But you've always been drawn to what's real, not what's polished. The lesson here is this: no matter how well someone wears a mask, it cannot survive in the presence of a soul who sees truth. Your spirit saw through them, even when your heart didn't want to admit it. And now, your inner knowing is being validated. The truth always reveals itself, not because you force it, but because it was never meant to stay hidden. Let this remind you: you weren't paranoid. You were perceptive. You weren't weak for staying. You were strong for finally letting go. And now that the mask has fallen, you can finally rise without question. Part 3. When silence becomes power. Capricorn. There's a silence the world misunderstands. A kind of stillness they label as weakness, because they can't imagine the strength it takes to feel everything and still say nothing. You've mastered that silence. You didn't erupt. You didn't expose. You didn't retaliate. Not because you didn't have the evidence. Not because you didn't know what they did. But because somewhere deep inside, you knew something greater was watching. The world teaches us to respond fast, to fire back, to post, to prove, to explode. But Capricorn, you moved differently. While they shouted lies, you chose stillness. While they plotted, you observed. While they rushed to bury you with whispers, you let time do the talking. And now, that silence has become your greatest weapon. Not one forged in anger, but one carved from wisdom. Because here's what no one tells you: divine power flows best through stillness. It doesn't need noise. It doesn't need defense. It waits. And when it moves, it shifts everything. Capricorn, your silence was not empty. It was full of intention, full of clarity, full of quiet conversations with the universe. Every moment you didn't react, you were building inner strength. Every time you stayed grounded when you had every reason to rage, you aligned more deeply with your higher self. The one who hurt you may never admit it, but your silence haunted them, because they expected a war. And what they got was nothing. No calls, no breakdowns, no begging for closure, just silence. And that silence spoke louder than anything you could have said. Because in that silence, you told them, you no longer have access to me. And now, Capricorn, that silence is the doorway to your freedom. Life lesson: sometimes your greatest power is what you don't say. Capricorn, this world often pushes us to react, to prove, to fight, to shout louder than the lies. But you chose differently. You chose to protect your energy, not your ego. You chose peace over performance. You chose alignment over approval. And that choice changed everything. The lesson is this: silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something sacred is unfolding. Without the need for your hands. Let the world misinterpret your silence. Let them assume what they want. Because while they're speaking, you're rising. Part 4. The Divine Ledger, where nothing is forgotten. Capricorn, what if I told you that every moment of pain you endured was witnessed, not just by the people around you, not just by those who stayed silent when they should have spoken, but by something much greater. There is a truth that ancient mystics, sages, and even modern spiritualists agree on. Nothing in this universe goes unseen. Nothing goes unrecorded. There is a divine ledger. Not a book made of paper and ink, but a living, breathing, spiritual record that remembers every act, every word, every intent. And Capricorn, your page in that book is heavy with one thing: endurance. You didn't play victim. You didn't seek pity. You didn't manipulate others to take your side. You bore the storm with dignity. And the universe recorded that. Every time you chose grace over chaos, it was noted. Every tear you cried when no one was watching, it was written. Every moment you held space for others, even while bleeding in silence, was engraved into your spiritual account. But the same is true for the one who hurt you. Their deception, their betrayal, the lies spoken behind your back, the manipulation they thought no one saw, all of it, written, stored, waiting. And here's what you must understand: divine justice is not delayed. It is precise. It is patient. And when it moves with complete accuracy. Capricorn, you are not crazy for sensing that something is shifting. The balance is being corrected. Not by force, not by revenge, but by divine arithmetic that never miscalculates. You are not being rewarded for being perfect. You are being restored because you remained true when someone else chose to betray. This is not about punishment. It is about balance. And when balance returns, it doesn't ask for applause. It just restores what was always meant to be. And now, the universe is closing the gap. What was taken from you in silence is being returned in power. What was stolen through manipulation is being dissolved by truth. And the one who tried to rewrite your story is now facing the pages they authored, being read aloud by a force they cannot control. The divine ledger does not lie. And Capricorn, your name is not next to bitterness. It is next to strength. And that is why restoration is coming. Not loud, not public, but deeply, undeniably, inescapably real. You will feel it. The moment the scale finally levels, you will know. Not because they fall, but because you finally breathe freely. And that freedom is no accident. It's justice. Life lesson: every action has a spiritual echo. Capricorn, even when the world forgets, the universe remembers. The lesson here is this: what is done in secret, good or evil, always sends out a ripple. And in time, those ripples return. So never believe that your kindness, your loyalty, or your patience was in vain. It was recorded. It was valued. And now, it is being answered. Divine justice is not a myth. It's simply not rushed. And when it arrives, it brings back exactly what was yours, at exactly the right time. Part 5. The moment everything cracks. Capricorn, the beginning of their fall never looks like chaos. It begins with a tremble, one that only they can feel. It starts in quiet moments, a hesitation in their step, a whisper of fear in the middle of a smile, a gut feeling they can't explain, that something is unraveling beneath the surface. From the outside, everything might still look intact. They still laugh. They still post. They still pretend. But inside, everything is shifting. And the reason is simple. The life they built was built on illusion. It had no solid foundation, no truth to hold it up, only manipulation, half-truths, and performance. And Capricorn, nothing built on deception, can stand forever. At first, they feel it subtly. Sleep becomes uneasy. Old friends grow distant. Their words start to contradict. One version of the story doesn't match the next. Then come the relational fractures. People who once protected them start to look at them differently. Questions begin to surface. Trust begins to leak. And soon, the cracks widen. Not because you exposed them, but because truth has a way of collapsing anything false. There is a law in this universe that cannot be broken. What is not aligned with integrity will eventually fall. And that's what's happening now. The lies they told to protect themselves are turning on them. The energy they sent out to hurt you is returning, multiplied. They try to hold it together, to glue the image back in place. But the more they try, the more the pieces fall apart. Because Capricorn, no one outruns what they created. And while this is happening, you may feel something odd. A release, a lifting, an unexpected lightness in your chest. That's how you know. Their grip is breaking. Their energy is fading. Their story in your life is ending. And the best part, you didn't have to chase it. You didn't have to fight for it. You didn't even need to watch it. It's happening regardless. Because divine order doesn't need an audience. It only needs alignment. And now, the alignment is exact. The one who once seemed untouchable is standing on ground that no longer supports them. And you're standing taller than ever. Not because they fell, but because you refused to fall with them. Life lesson: what's not built in truth cannot withstand time. Capricorn, this is not about revenge. It's about reality. The lesson here is clear. Anything built on lies will collapse under its own weight. And you never had to do a thing to make that happen. So trust the process. Even if you can't see every detail of their fall, you will feel the shift in your spirit. Because your freedom isn't in watching them crumble. Your freedom is in finally realizing you were never meant to carry the weight of someone else's deception. Let the cracks deepen. Let what was false fall. Because what remains is the life you're building now, on truth, peace, and strength. Part 6. You don't need to witness their fall to know it's real. Capricorn, let me tell you something most people never accept. You don't need to see them fall to know they're falling. You don't need proof. You don't need apologies. You don't even need closure. Why? Because what matters now isn't their ending. It's your release. The human ego wants evidence. It wants to hear the confession. It wants to witness the moment they admit they were wrong. But your soul doesn't need that. Your soul is already moving forward. And Capricorn, when the universe begins to restore you, it rarely gives you a front row seat to someone else's judgment. Because healing isn't about watching someone suffer. Healing is about no longer being tethered to their existence at all. It's about waking up one day and realizing their energy doesn't affect you anymore. Their name doesn't sting. Their memory doesn't haunt. Their choices don't define your value. That's the sign. Not some dramatic moment of karma you get to see, but the peace that arrives in your own body when you finally understand. You're free. Capricorn, the fall of the one who hurt you may not be televised. There won't be cameras. There won't be applause. There may not even be validation from others. But in their silence, in their sleepless nights, in their inability to escape the truth they ran from, their fall is unfolding. And your job, your only job, to keep walking. Don't look back. You've got too much ahead of you. Too many dreams waiting. Too many blessings forming in the background that need your attention more than their destruction ever will. Let them go. Let them vanish. Let them answer to the same universe that has already begun lifting you. Because Capricorn, your freedom is too sacred to waste it standing in the ruins of what hurt you. Life lesson: freedom doesn't require a witness. Capricorn, here's the truth. You don't need to see them lose. You just need to feel yourself winning. Internally, quietly, completely. The lesson: Healing isn't about revenge. It's about no longer needing validation from those who broke you. Your peace is your proof. Your growth is your answer. And your detachment is your deliverance. So when the urge comes to wonder what's happening to them, gently return your focus to what's awakening in you. Because what's next for you has nothing to do with what's behind you. Part 7. The spiritual contract ends here. Capricorn, some people don't enter our lives to stay. They enter with a purpose, a lesson, a trigger, a turning point we never saw coming. And as painful as it is, the one who caused you the most harm was likely part of a spiritual contract you never consciously agreed to. But your soul did. Long before this lifetime, long before this pain, your soul and theirs may have made an agreement. You will challenge me. You will hurt me. You will break something in me. And when you do, I will finally awaken to a version of myself that only pain could reveal. It doesn't make what they did right. It doesn't excuse their choices. But it helps you understand this moment from a higher place. They didn't come to destroy you. They came to expose what was unhealed in you, so you could finally rise beyond it. And now that you have, the contract is complete. You've endured the betrayal. You've done the inner work. You've met the deepest versions of yourself in the loneliest moments of your life. And now, their role is finished. Their exit is overdue, and their presence has no place in your future. You are not obligated to carry the memory of their mistake. You are not here to replay the lesson over and over. As if pain is your home. You've learned. You've outgrown the cycle. And now, you're allowed to close the page. Without guilt. Without permission. Without needing anyone else to agree. Capricorn, when a spiritual contract ends, the release is deep. You feel it in your bones, in your sleep, in the stillness of your thoughts. It's a peace you can't explain. Not loud, not dramatic, just a knowing that you don't need to fix them. You don't need to save them. You don't even need to wish them harm. You just need to walk away whole. And you are. Because when someone exits your life, after teaching you what they came to teach, they don't leave a void. They leave a doorway. And what steps through next will be everything they never were. Life lesson, not every pain was meant to last, some were meant to liberate. Capricorn, the pain they caused was real, but its purpose was bigger than the wound. It woke you up. It changed your direction. It introduced you to the most resilient parts of your being. The lesson, some people come to break you open, so that you can finally become the person you were always meant to be. You don't need to hate them. You don't need to love them. You just need to release them. The contract is over, and your new path is waiting. Part 8. From burden to blessing, the energy shift. Capricorn, the moment you release what wounded you, something unexplainable begins to happen inside your spirit. Not all at once. Not with fireworks, but with a quiet shift. So gentle you might miss it at first. You begin to breathe differently. You speak more slowly. Your thoughts grow clearer. You start to feel safe in your own body again. That is the energy shift. Not the kind that others see from the outside, but the kind that transforms you from the inside out. Because when someone who was never meant to stay finally exits your energetic field, you don't just lose a burden. You make space for something holy. You stop walking on eggshells. You stop replaying conversations. You stop questioning whether you were enough. And in that new stillness, something powerful is born. Self-trust. Capricorn, you've been carrying their energy long after they left. Their voice echoing in your mind. Their criticism hiding behind your decisions. Their betrayal shaping your boundaries. But now, that energy is dissolving. Not because you forced it, but because your spirit has chosen evolution over attachment. And with that choice comes blessing. You begin attracting people who see you for who you truly are. Opportunities open that were blocked while you were stuck in survival. Clarity replaces confusion. Peace becomes your new normal. And here's the most important part. You start to feel joy without guilt. You smile, and it's not just for show. You wake up and realize you didn't think about them once. You move through your day with the quiet confidence that you're no longer living in reaction to pain. You're living in response to your own power. Capricorn, this isn't just healing. It's rebirth. And it's only possible because you finally let go. You surrendered the weight. And the universe rushed in to fill the space. This is the beginning of your elevation. One that doesn't need permission. And cannot be reversed. Life lesson, energy never lies. When it's clear, everything aligns. Capricorn, one of the greatest shifts in life doesn't come when you get revenge, or when someone finally apologizes. It comes the moment you realize this. I no longer carry what they left behind. That's when everything changes. The lesson here? Release clears the air, and in that clear space, blessing can finally breathe. So if something feels lighter lately, if your spirit feels calmer, your heart steadier, trust it, because the energy has shifted. And it's no accident. It's your time. Part 9, Real-world example when the exit was the blessing. Capricorn, sometimes we don't realize how deeply someone is blocking our light until they're gone. And when they finally vanish, the blessings that had been trying to reach us for years suddenly arrive uninterrupted. Let me tell you a true story. There's a woman, born under the sign of Capricorn, who spent years building a life with someone who appeared perfect. He was polished, respected, admired by everyone in their circle. On the outside, their relationship looked stable, beautiful, even. But behind closed doors, he chipped away at her self-worth in subtle, calculated ways. He questioned her instincts. He mocked her dreams. He made her doubt the very gifts that made her who she was. And she, like many Capricorns, tried to fix it, carry it, endure it. Because that's what Capricorn does. She stayed too long. Not out of weakness, but because she believed in the power of loyalty. Until the night came when she sat alone in her car, outside their shared home, and whispered to herself, "This isn't love. This is a cage disguised as comfort." And something shifted. She didn't fight. She didn't explain. She didn't seek closure. She walked away. What happened next was nothing short of miraculous. Within months, she received a job opportunity she'd been rejected from for years. She reconnected with an old friend. A soul connection she didn't realize was waiting for her. Her health improved. Her creativity exploded. And most of all, she started laughing again. The kind of laughter that comes from deep inside, not to impress anyone, but because she finally felt safe in her own skin. Years later, she was asked in an interview, if you could go back to that relationship and fix it, would you? She didn't hesitate. She simply said, no, because his exit was the beginning of everything good. Capricorn, this isn't just her story. This is yours, too. You may not know it yet. You may still be healing, but the space they left isn't just a hole, it's a doorway. And what walks through that door, when you're finally free, is everything you were always meant to receive. Life lesson, what leaves you isn't always loss. Sometimes, it's the gate to your true life. Capricorn, the world may tell you to grieve over every ending, but not all endings are tragedies. Some are sacred. Some are timed perfectly by the universe. Some are the only way your true life can finally begin. The lesson? Don't fear who left. Watch who arrives when they're gone. Because what's coming isn't compensation, it's alignment. And the moment you realize that, you'll never chase a closed door again. Part 10, why you no longer bleed from that wound. Capricorn, healing doesn't always arrive with a grand moment. Sometimes it shows up quietly, when you realize something has changed inside you, and you can't quite explain how or when it happened. You're not angry anymore. You're not waiting for an apology. You're not even wishing they'd understand what they did. You've simply let go. The wound is still there, yes, but it no longer bleeds. It no longer throbs. It no longer controls how you move through the world. That's what true healing feels like. At one time, You replayed every detail of what happened. You questioned yourself. You lost sleep, lost appetite, lost parts of your joy trying to figure out why someone you trusted turned into someone you didn't recognize. But now, the volume has been turned down. Their face no longer flashes when certain songs play. Their voice doesn't echo when you enter a quiet room. Their name doesn't cause your chest to tighten. And here's why. Because your soul has decided that your peace is worth more than your need to understand what broke you. Capricorn, they may have given you a wound, but you gave yourself the recovery. You chose not to stay angry. You chose not to define yourself by the betrayal. You chose to rise, quietly, slowly, powerfully, and to rewrite the story. And now that wound, it's no longer an open space. It's a scar. And scars don't mean you're broken. Scars mean you survived. The scar remains, but it no longer burns. It no longer aches. It no longer whispers lies about your worth. It simply exists as a reminder of what you came through, of what you'll never accept again, and of how far you've already come. Life lesson, the memory may stay, but the power it held over you is gone. Capricorn, the greatest proof of healing is not forgetting what happened. It's no longer being owned by it. The lesson is this: you no longer bleed when you remember, because your soul has sealed what once was open. You can speak of it without trembling. You can think of them without spiraling. You can move forward without dragging your past behind you. That is not weakness. That is strength born of inner work. That is resilience that no one can take credit for but you. So wear your scar like a crown, not because it defines you, but because it reminds you of what you've overcome. And now, Capricorn, you are free. Part 11, Their Vanishing is a spiritual upgrade for you. Capricorn, not all disappearances are losses. Not all goodbyes are tragedies. And not every person who leaves your life was meant to stay beyond the lesson they came to deliver. Sometimes, their exit is an initiation, an invisible signal to the universe that you are ready. Ready for expansion. Ready for deeper alignment. Ready to step into the next version of yourself, without carrying their energy into it. You see, energy is sacred, and for a long time, your energy field was tangled with theirs. Their doubts became your second guessing. Their manipulation shaped your self-worth. Their presence lingered in places they no longer belonged. But now, that frequency has been removed. And here's what happens. When someone toxic is spiritually removed from your path, you start to see the world differently. Colors feel richer. Silence feels softer. Your own thoughts become clearer. Because there is no longer noise that doesn't belong to you. You begin making decisions faster. Not out of fear, but from intuition. You trust your instincts again. You reconnect with the voice inside you that was drowned out for too long. That's the upgrade. It doesn't arrive like lightning. It doesn't always come with applause. But it recalibrates your spirit in ways that no one can undo. Capricorn, their vanishing made room for your rising. Their absence created space for your wholeness. And the universe never clears something without preparing something greater in its place. You may have thought you were being abandoned, but you were actually being repositioned. For peace, for power, for purpose. This is not about punishment for them. It's not even about revenge. It's about resonance. Their vibration no longer matched yours. And so the universe intervened. Not to hurt you, but to elevate you. And now, you're vibrating higher. Not because they left, but because you didn't chase them. You stood still. You trusted the process. You let the universe be your shield. And now, the frequency around you is shifting. New people. New opportunities. New clarity. This is what happens when you pass the test. Their vanishing wasn't an ending. It was a gate. And now, you're walking through it. Into everything they were never meant to be part of. Life lesson. Not everyone was meant to enter your next level, and that's divine protection. Capricorn, sometimes the universe doesn't remove people to punish them. It removes them to protect your purpose. The lesson here is simple but sacred. Their chapter had to end, so your true story could begin. What left your life wasn't a blessing lost. It was a vibration that could no longer survive where you're going. So don't mourn the loss. Honor the upgrade. Because what's coming now is built on truth, anchored in peace, and protected by something far greater than human hands. Part 12. Letting go is your final act of power. Capricorn, the most powerful thing you'll ever do won't be proving them wrong. It won't be showing them you survived. It won't even be succeeding in spite of them. The most powerful thing you'll ever do is letting go. When you no longer need what once consumed you. Not in bitterness, not in fear, not in desperation, but in full, conscious, sovereign peace. Letting go is not giving up. It's not forgetting. And it's certainly not weakness. Letting go means this: I no longer need to carry what was never mine. I no longer need to understand the reasons. I choose my healing over their explanation. I choose my future over my past. Capricorn, this is your final test. Because the temptation will always come. To revisit, to reopen, to reattach. You'll hear songs, see their name, feel the old memories whisper. But you're no longer the person you were when they broke you. Now, you are the one who knows how to choose peace. Even when chaos knocks at your door, you are the one who knows when to stop speaking. Because your silence holds more power than their noise ever could. You are the one who recognizes that not everyone deserves access to the healed version of you. And most of all, you are the one who sees now that the storm they brought was never bigger than the foundation you built within yourself. Letting go is your declaration that you are no longer tethered to lessons you've already learned. You don't need closure. You don't need one last conversation. You don't need to make them see. You only need to walk away with your peace intact. And when you do, when you fully release without waiting for anything in return, the universe rushes in to meet you with everything you've been waiting for. Because release is an invitation. It tells life, I am ready for what's next. And Capricorn, you are ready. Not because the past disappeared, but because you outgrew it. Life lesson: power isn't in holding on, it's in releasing what no longer honors your future. Capricorn, the world tells you that strength is in never letting go. But the deeper truth is this: it takes more power to release than it ever took to hold on. Let this be your final act of power. Not a scream. Not a confrontation. Not a victory lap. Just a quiet, grounded, sovereign release of everything that no longer belongs to your becoming. You do not rise by dragging old stories. You rise by writing new ones with a lighter heart and a clearer mind. This is your moment. You are free. Conclusion: the sacred silence after the storm. Capricorn, you've walked through fire. Not the kind that scorches skin, but the kind that tests spirit. You've carried pain that was never meant to be yours. You've endured betrayals no one saw. You've kept moving when others would have collapsed. And now, you are standing in the sacred silence after the storm. Not because the storm apologized. Not because justice was loud. But because you let go. Fully, finally, powerfully. You let the one who caused you pain vanish. Not with revenge. Not with rage. But with the quiet strength of someone who has finally remembered who they are. And who are you? You are the one who no longer needs their explanation. You are the one who stopped bleeding from that wound. You are the one who transformed every ounce of sorrow into the foundation of your freedom. You didn't get stuck. You got still. You didn't fall apart. You fell into alignment. You didn't lose. You let go. And now, the universe is responding. Capricorn, this is your moment of divine justice. Not because someone else fell, but because you rose without needing them to. So from this silence, build again, dream again, love again, laugh again. And this time, do it not from survival, but from sovereignty. Because the one who caused your pain never had the final word. The universe does. And the universe has chosen your healing, your peace, You're rising. Right now, you are being rewritten. Not by what broke you, but by what you chose after the breaking. This is not the end. This is the sacred beginning of everything real. Capricorn, type it one last time in the comments. I release the pain. Let it be your final word. Your agreement with destiny. Your signal to the universe that you are ready for what's next. And if this message spoke to your soul, if it reached the part of you that always knew you were meant for more, subscribe to Zodiac Secrets Revealed right now. Because the truth is, you were never meant to live in their shadow. You were meant to rise in your own light. And the next message will carry you even higher.